My discussion with Kate Volman was absolutely fantastic. We talk about how dreams are not fluffy, but as adults, we don't dream anymore. We talk about all the things that are holding us back: busyness, ego, control. We wait for inspiration to strike. We talk about a lot of different things, but we talk about how we can achieve a lot of our dreams if we write them down. We can achieve them right now. She talks about her biggest dream, and I'll give you a hint. It's not do more. You're going to want to listen. And the really impactful part, she talks about a feeling she has about her work that I think we can all aspire to have as well. It made my eyes water. You got to watch it on YouTube to really see and feel the emotions of it. Check it out. Hello and welcome to the Purpose Matrix. I am very excited for today's guest, Kate Volman. Kate, how are you doing today?
I am amazing. Thanks so much for having me on the show, Phil.
What a bizarre story. So Kate and I, we went back to our LinkedIn messages. We talked. So through a mutual friend of ours, we connected in, I think, 2017. A long time ago, we talked. She supports Matthew Kelly or works with Matthew Kelly. I'll tell you more about that. But we talked. I read The Dream Manager. Kate and I connected. And then 8 years later, I tried to reach out to her. She completely ignored me, but then she reached out to me. And no, it's a wild story. She didn't ignore me. She didn't even see the message because probably didn't find her the right way. But anyway, we have reconnected. This is going to be a great discussion. So Kate Volman. Kate is the CEO of Floyd Consulting, a Matthew Kelly organization that supports and is the only company that, what's the right word? Certifies dream managers. She's the author of Do What You Love, a guide to living your creative without leaving your job. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about some of the things that are obstacles to allowing us to do that are really, they're not obstacles. They're just myths. She is an expert on leadership, personal development, coaching. We've been talking for a half hour here, and she's been coaching me for 29 minutes. So this is going to be great. She works with entrepreneurs, executives. She's a trainer. She's a speaker. She is awesome. She has her own podcast, Create for No Reason. And Kate, it is a wild story. I'm very appreciative of you coming on the show. Tell me a little bit about your backstory and how you got into this world of personal development and what you're doing today. And yeah, I'd love to hear more about it.
All right. So let's see. Well, first of all, thanks for calling me out, but I'm happy I'm happy we made it happen. It's, our timing is everything. So this is we're going to have so much fun on this conversation. I actually met our mutual friend years and years ago when I was working at the Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce. That's really where I started my career, I guess you could say. And I was at the chamber for 8 years. And I always tell people that role, like working there, because I had many different roles while I was there, I kind of kept moving up, but that really shaped the person that I became. I mean, I learned so much working there. It was just what a blessing to have a role that I was in front of incredible community leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, people that were running nonprofits. I just got to experience so many things that a lot of 20-year-olds just don't get to when they work in like a corporate setting. And so I learned about advocacy and entrepreneurship and community and the importance of all of those things, the importance of networking. I had some really great mentors. So I was there for almost 8 years or over 8 years, actually. And I just loved that role. That role was like meant for me. I loved it so much. And then I moved on after that. I took a role at the marketing director for the City of West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, where I continued to be able to work with community leaders and business owners. And so that's kind of so much of my story is like just this love of community and people and serving and helping. From there, because I learned so much about entrepreneurship, I couldn't help but start my own business with a partner. And so I had a marketing agency for a little while. And one of the things that I saw throughout my entire career that I really encourage other people to do, which is why I started my podcast, is there's always room for creativity and doing things that you love just for the joy of it. And so throughout my career, while I was working, I also started a show, a morning show in the local community that I was part of. And it was all around supporting and highlighting business owners and philanthropy and nonprofits. And we did this show in Delray Beach, Florida. And then when I moved up to West Palm Beach, I started the show up here. So doing stuff like that, having podcasts, writing a book, like just doing things just for fun was always part of my career journey. And I encourage other people to kind of lean into their creativity.
Yeah, I wanted to. So we're going to talk about this because we talked a lot about this before we hit record here, but just pursuing what like just doing things for the sake of you love them, they're joyful, they're your passion, and there's a lot of reason we don't do that. So we're going to spend some time talking through that. Before we do, let's talk about Dream Manager a little bit. I just want to make sure we hit that and talk me through, how this all came about and what is a Dream Manager? I mean, just tell me what a Dream Manager is. By the way, one of the very early, I have it here. If you're, it's in my top books, so it stays with me here at the office, and I look through it. But it's one of the top self-development books I've read. It like really woke me up to what leadership is all about. I highly recommend it. But what is a Dream Manager? So
the Dream Manager is an absolutely incredible book. It was written it came out in 2007. And what I'm always so fascinated by is how it is still so true today as it was when Matthew originally wrote it. And the whole idea behind the Dream Manager is that your organization can only be the best version of itself to the extent that your people are becoming better versions of themselves. And in today's world, and this number has not changed in years, in decades, actually, disengagement, employees are 70% of the workforce is disengaged. Which is so sad because we spend so much time at work. And so people are disengaged at work. And the Dream Manager helps us discover that people are disengaged at work, not because they don't love the work potentially, but because they're also disengaged in their own life. And people are disengaged in their own life because they have stopped dreaming and no one is asking them about their dreams. And so you as a leader, if you run a company, if you lead a team, if you start asking your team members about their dreams, they're going to light up. They're going to become more engaged. If you not only start asking them, but then you support them in those dreams, you're going to see your people show up very differently. They're going to grow in ways that you couldn't imagine. And so the Dream Manager is a fable about a janitorial company that was dealing with engagement issues, and they implemented the Dream Manager program. So they essentially had a Dream Manager in the organization that served as the life coach for their people, starting to ask them about their dreams and then help them achieve those dreams. And all of a sudden, this organization, they started to see better communication. They started to see people were staying. They weren't leaving. The retention increased, engagement increased, and all because they felt like, oh wow, my leaders are treating me like an actual person, like a human being. They care about me as a person. And so that's what Dream Managers are. You come and get certified at Floyd to be a Dream Manager, and then you go back to your organization. You serve as the life coach for your people, and not only are they helping hold you accountable to the dreams you say you want to achieve, but you're also learning new ideas. So every month that you're meeting with your Dream Manager, you're talking about relationships or time and energy or different areas of life, personal, professional, your emotional, spiritual, all different areas of your life you're digging into. So you're learning new content as you're being supported in the dreams that you want to achieve.
There's a lot of maybe hard driving leaders here, entrepreneurs, business leaders, men and women, but they're hard driving and they haven't thought about this in a long time. Maybe even since they were kids, right? So dreams can feel or seem or feel, I mean, is this fluff? Is this fluff or give me some examples. No, this is really important. And maybe an example of how we can live this out. And I know it's a trick question, not really, but I will also say that the fable tells a story and it's very effective for companies, whether you have a white collar employee base, blue collar employee base. It's really effective for whatever type of business or organization that you're leading. So, but yeah. Is it fluffy?
I love that. I love when people are like, oh, dreams. That's just fluff. Like, I don't care about my team members' dreams. Like, why should I care about them? And, but it is absolutely remarkable. So we have we work with the most incredible leaders. They care about their people. They have implemented this program, and the stories, Phil, I could just go on and on about the stories, like people that they've had that, a lot of the dreams that are achieved, we see very similar dreams from across the board on the people that we get to work with. And their dreams they can be so simple. Like dreams can be so simple. I think sometimes we overcomplicate and we think, oh, these dreams have to be this like outrageous, like I want to own a jet or have a house, have a mansion on the beach. No, the dreams that we see that people have are like, I want to buy a home. A lot of people over the past couple of years, they have a dream of having a better relationship with their spouse. There's always a financial dream. People want to be financially free. People want to get out of debt. There's typically I would say our top dreams are something around financial, buying a home, also health and fitness. People want to get into better shape. They want to run a marathon. They want to have a vacation. And so what happens is there are these people, they have these dreams, some that they haven't thought about in years. And I just was talking to one of our dream managers the other day, saying that he actually said, some of the dreams that I've talked about for so many years that I thought would take years to actually achieve, I did them in 7 months. Like I accomplished things in 7 months that I've been talking about, all because they had a dream manager that supported them, held them accountable and encouraged them. And so many people don't have that in their life. And so to be able to, if you're a leader, to be able to give that gift to people, think about it. If you are helping someone achieve one of their dreams, they're going to show up differently. The amount of, think about the loyalty that they're going to give to you and the organization, because they're like, wow, this person really cares about me. So when they are offered another role at a different company for, whatever, $10, $20 more or whatever it is, they're not going to take it because they're like, there's something about me being able to work in a company culture that believes in people and personal growth.
The power of this is that as a leader, so often we think I need to have a mission statement that our team needs to fulfill. And that can be true, but the power of having clarity and helping your team understand what they want, what's important to them, and then guiding them and helping them get there, it is so powerful. And so instead of dictating a mission statement or a purpose statement or whatever it is, no, what is important to your team, right? Whether that's, in finances, whether that's around family, health, faith, whatever is important to them. Okay, how are we going to get it? And so that was a major message I heard within what you said. The other one is that if we look forward ourselves and for our team members, if we look forward and say, what do I want to be doing in 3 years from now or 5 years? Like, what is a phenomenal situation? What do I want? The really important things we can have in 7 months, like you said, or we can have now. It's really, and from a business leader's perspective, if someone wants a dream like a vacation to Cabo, whatever, that can be really expensive. But a lot of these things are actually helping the employee figure out how to do the work to get there, right? Coaching them through the process. They can have it right now so often. So, and I want to turn that into a question too. How do, as organizations bring on a dream manager, how does someone's, there's probably dreams around finances, but I suspect they also evolve over time to more important thing. I don't want to say finances aren't important, but how do dreams generally evolve over time as, month 1 or 2 versus year 3 or 5 in an organization?
The importance of the dream depends on the season that the person is in. And it's okay. Like in the book, Matthew shares the 12 categories of dreams. We have dreams in all different categories of life. So there are, now most people have professional dreams and financial dreams and material dreams. But what about spiritual dreams, psychological dreams, creative dreams? Like those are important for us to focus on. And so what we tend to see is even if you continue to have a financial dream, and that could look like, you want to again, be financially free. You want to buy a home. Like dreams, there is money attached to certain dreams, right? Even a giving dream. If you want to give more to your church, your organization, your community, you need to be able to like continue to reach those financial dreams. But what we see, especially because we do work with people of all different ages, we do a lot of coaching. It's called Q4 coaching. So people that are in their 60 and above, but we do Q4 coaching, and it can start in your late 40s and 50s. And a lot of those individuals, they really are focused on their legacy dream, their character dream. Like, what do I really want to leave behind? Like, what is my legacy? And so we see some of those dreams, whereas like maybe in your 20s, you're not thinking about it so much, but as you're getting older, those dreams evolved. And that's what's so beautiful about dreaming. Like when we do a dream storm with our clients, we encourage them to create a list of 100 dreams. And Phil, I'll tell you, they are like, wait, what? 100? That is so many dreams. Like, I don't have 100 dreams. But if you take all 12 categories and you put 6 to 10 dreams in each category, you have this beautiful list of dreams. And guess what? You're not going to achieve all of those dreams. If you have a list of 100 dreams, you might not achieve them. In fact, I love going back to old dream lists and I look through the list and I say, wow, I've achieved all these dreams. And then I think, wow, there's some dreams that don't matter to me anymore.
Right.
Like I don't care about these dreams, but it doesn't mean that they weren't important to me at the time. And so that's what I love too about dreaming is like we can continue to update the list, continue to grow. As we grow and develop and we are becoming a better version of ourselves, we are going to see things very differently in our lives. What makes sense to us, what's most important to us, where we want to spend our time. And that too is why this program is so powerful, because you're being led through these topics like relationships, time and energy. Where are you spending your time? Right. Where are you spending? What are your priorities? Like we have to understand where those things are every year and what we want to achieve throughout our life.
And what I like about the list of 100 is there's probably going to be things that take money. And as you said, phase of life and those things like money can buy adventure. Memories. There's things that are important. Yes. So I'm not diminishing it, but if I'm creating a list of 100 things, I'm going to have to think about probably every single category of my life. And then I'm assuming there's a process where we really, dialed in to say, what are the most important things that we focus on? So I love it so much. But then obviously, and as we develop a list of 100 things or whatever it is, by the way, the book is it is such an easy read. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm reading this and I'm frustrated. I didn't just reread it like right before this discussion. So I apologize for that, but it is absolutely fantastic. As you were talking through it, it was bringing things back. So go buy the Dream Manager right now. It's, I don't know what it is, $15 or $20. Just buy it. Just buy it and read it. And by the way, buy it for your entire leadership team as well. We write these things down and then things can get in our way. There's obstacles, there's fears, there's myths. So I want to transition to you wrote a book as well, but in the book, you talk about 7 myths that we often have. And you told me before the show, 1 or 2 of them. And I'm like, just stop right there because both of them hit home for me. So let's wait till the show to hear the other 5. But tell me about a couple of these myths that hold so many of us back. And you can frame it up with the book a little bit, your book specifically a little bit if you'd like to.
Yeah. So when I wrote the book, it really was, because of the space that I'm in personal development and coaching, and dreaming and helping people dream, I just kept seeing these common ideas that people had that were really stopping them from pursuing their dreams. And they seemed to be very universal. And I was like, wow, no matter what phase in life, no matter how quote unquote successful someone is, I was like, wow, like everybody has these thoughts sometimes. Like we can be very self-critical. Can be our own worst critic. And I thought, oh my gosh, I really need to call these myths out. And one of the myths that we were talking about before we hit record was it has to be perfect. Perfectionism is we see it in so many, especially your listeners, like guilty. Ambitious growth mind, right? Like
I'm so guilty of this. Yeah.
It's like we know that perfect doesn't exist, but we still, for some reason, still strive for it. And we might not ship something that's a piece of work because it's not yet perfect, and then we're waiting and don't ever do anything with it. Like I have friends that have written books or have 3 episodes of a podcast that they just will not share. They just will not do anything with because it's not perfect. And so that really holds a lot of people back. We see that in some of our dreamers. It's like they think, oh, if I'm going to have this new workout routine, I have to work out perfectly 7 days a week or 5 days a week. And I'm thinking, but you work out 0 days a week right now. So let's get a little, it's okay to be a little messy. Like your creative practice can be messy.
You're going to be messy. Like if you're human, it's going to be messy, and perfection is, it's such a bottleneck. It maybe depends on personality type. For me, perfectionism, like my team will tell me too. And I have to intentionally get out of my own way here when I'm thinking about things. So it really resonates with me, and I'm sure a lot of listeners. What other ones?
So I'm going to share myth number 7, because this was actually the hardest one for me to write for some reason. And so I always remember it, but it's also my favorite one. So maybe that's why it was the hardest for me to write this chapter. But myth number 7 is inspiration will strike. I can't tell you how many people just think, oh, I'm waiting for this idea to come into play, or they're waiting to take the right step. Like they think they're going to one day wake up and be inspired to go for a walk or to go to the gym or to start the project. And what I have discovered and learned over the years, not only through my own creative practice, but also because I am just in love with learning about writing and the creative practice and how people create work, and especially around writers. And every writer that I've learned from, whether it's a masterclass I've taken or a book that I've read on the craft of writing, they always talk about how they just have this practice. Like they don't wait until they're ready to write. They have to sit down and start writing, like every single day. What some people they write at the same time. Some people write the same amount of words every day. They have some type of a creative practice that gets them in the seat to do the work, regardless of if there's inspiration. And so in the book, I even talk about muses, and I love this idea of muse. Like, oh, I have a muse and it inspires me. No. And Stephen King writes about this in his book, and I love the way he describes it. He's like, we think this muse is this beautiful thing, but no, the muse, he describes it as he's a basement kind of guy. He's down in the basement and he's smoking his cigars and he's looking at his bowling trophy, and he's like not doing anything for us. And you're just like, what are you doing? But you have to get down into the basement. You have to get down into where that muse is. And then only by starting and doing the work is that muse going to give you the inspiration that you need. So you only get inspiration by starting.
That's what I was going to ask is, and whether people of faith and like, okay, I'm going to wait for the sign. I'm going to wait for the right time. And really, how do you I'm going to be patient. Like patience a positive thing, but so I'm going to be patient and wait for the inspiration to strike. No, right?
I mean, no, I feel like it's an excuse. I feel like waiting is an excuse. I understand that there is time for stillness, but if stillness shows up for you every single day and you keep talking about the thing, like then you have to recognize, okay, obviously inspiration is not coming. Like I think even when people start a business, sometimes I saw this a lot in my chamber days. People would get very fixated on, I'm going to get the business card and the website and like do all the fun things, like the fun parts of the business. And they never actually got to the point of, well, are you going to ask someone to hire you? Are you going to actually make a sale and get a client? Like that's really where business lies. And so I think we often glamorize certain things in our lives that we want. But the bottom line is if you want to do something, it takes work, and you have to sit. Like Stephen Pressfield has his book that I always reference is the War of Art. And he talks about the resistance, and the resistance is that feeling of like when you sit down to do the work, you're pulled to, oh, I'm just going to make this phone call real quick. Oh, I'm going to go run this errand real quick. But no, you have to sit down and do the work. And so again, yes, of course, there's a place for stillness and waiting, but honestly, I think a lot of people use it as an excuse to not just get started and to not do the work, to not do the hard thing. Like authors will often say, I've heard authors say, I want to have written the book. I don't want to write the book.
I think we get so fixated on, like, we become obsessed with the outcome of where it will be in 3 years from now or 5 years from now. Like we get so focused on that we're just waiting for the inspiration for that, the 3-year thing. The way to figure that out, because it's going to change no matter what. Like I guarantee if you're thinking 3 years out, you are wrong. You were going to something's going to change the process. And if you figure out the next 2 weeks or tomorrow what you need to do, like take action tomorrow in that direction, and you will find the inspiration if you start to take action. Like with action will come the inspiration and clarity to where you really want to be in a couple years from now. So like my message is figure out what direction you want to go and just start taking it. Have the courage to take the next steps. The other thing that, as we were talking about a little bit, and I'm curious how many of the different myths are tied to how much are we worried, like even perfectionism and inspiration will strike. What are we afraid of? Like, and how much ultimately does ego come into this, where we're worried about, and in its simplest form, what are people going to think of us if it doesn't turn out exactly perfectly like we want it to, which would be also everyone's going to be happy with what we did.
Yeah, I think that is a real fear of a lot of people is just the criticism. We don't want to look stupid. We don't want to make a mistake. So yeah, I think ego. I mean, one of my favorite books is Ryan Holiday's book, Ego is the Enemy, right? Like when I mean, it's so much of the decisions that we're making, ego is involved a little bit. And so I think we have to recognize that. But criticism, that's the thing. I always enjoy talking to older people and just hearing what they've learned about life. And so they often will say nobody is watching you anyway. Like for some reason, we think that we're so super special and that people are watching us or they're looking at our career. No. Nobody's watching you. You're not that special. You're very special. You're not that special. Like people are dealing with their own lives. And so if you do something and you fail and you show up and something doesn't work, you start a business, a podcast, something, and it doesn't work out the way that you thought it would. We're so fixated on like how other people perceive that when like maybe they think about it for a second and then they move on with their life because their focus is their life.
Themselves and what other people are thinking of them.
Their focus is their life, not
They're
your
worried
life.
about what other people think of them while you're worried about what they think of you, right?
Exactly. And so like that stops so many of us from doing something. And like to your point about like thinking through like the next 5 years or a year or whatever that looks like, I just look at it like everything that you do, every mistake that you make, like all of this, you're just collecting data. You're just collecting information. Every time you try something new, every time you show up and you create something, you put something out there, you're learning something. And if you really are looking at it from a perspective of like, I love to think about it as like the reward is the work. I show up. Like my only job is to show up. Like on my show, I talk to a lot of creatives, like a lot of like whether they have a podcast, business, whatever it is. And one of the questions that I asked them is like, how do you define success in your creative projects? And one of my favorite answers by multiple guests have been, I look at it through the lens of, am I proud of this? Like, am I proud of the work? And if you can say, yes, I'm proud of it, even if it's not perfect or great or wonderful, or someone looks at it and says, you look stupid and that like, that's embarrassing. Great. Are you proud of the work? Like, that's literally all that matters. And so that it's like that, the man in the arena quote by Theodore Roosevelt.
It's on my wall right here.
It's in my kitchen.
Yeah.
It's like the best quote ever. Like, it's doing the work, like putting the blood, sweat, and tears into the work that you do because you love it. And that's why I am a believer of focusing so much more on the process than the outcome, because the process is going to help you become the person that you're meant to be. The outcome may not look the way you thought it would, and that can be a beautiful thing, but the process of it all, like even when you the pursuit of a dream is so important, because you're pursuing a dream and you might halfway through think, wow, like this isn't important to me anymore. But had I not pursued it, I wouldn't have gained these skills. I wouldn't have met these people. My life would look so different. And so we can collect all of the things that we've done and use them for good, use them in the season that we're in to push us forward into that next season. And so I believe that God gives us these gifts. And I also believe that our timing is not his timing. And we have to remember that, which can be sometimes one of the hardest things to remember.
Yeah. But we have to figure out how to use those gifts too. But we got to take action to do that. By the way, just like, I think the reason, and maybe the man in the arena quote resonates with so many people, is because just, it's not the critic that counts. So many of us, I think, get obsessed or overthink the critics, when we just talked about that. Like, the critics are more worried about justifying whatever, like that doesn't matter. And I think so often we focus on, like, we become, as you said, outcome obsessed versus understanding the process and what we can control. We can't control the outcomes. We can't control exactly what happens. We can only control who we are and what we do. And if we do that, as to tie it back, we'll be very proud of the work we put in, the struggles that we had, the lessons we learned, and the clarity we give too, because you can't connect the dots forward. We can always connect the dots backwards and tell us the story, right? But as Steve Jobs says, we can't connect the dots forward. Just go to the next dot. Just take the next step. So I love that so much. What else, if we just identify so if we're getting clarity, and you got to get the book to understand the rest of the myths. We're not going to tell you all of them. I want to like dig into it, but outside of what we've talked about for some of these myths, like, what are some of the big things we can do to really just pursue our passion?
It's so much of what we've been talking about, right? Like, it starts with dreaming. I think really getting down, what are the dreams that you have for your life? Just really gaining some clarity around that. And then, as Matthew Kelly reminds us in many of his multiple books, systems drive behaviors. Like, do you have systems in place to drive your behaviors in what it is that you say you want to do? And so for us to know exactly, hey, these are the dreams that we're pursuing, create that list of, like, what are the things that I need to do daily, weekly, monthly, annually to achieve those dreams, to have those very clearly set, and then to show up and do those things. Like, I talk a lot about the creative process. Like, I think that is a creative process. Like, do you have a creative practice to achieve all of these things that you say you want to achieve? This is why accountability is so huge. I think most people don't achieve what they want to achieve because of accountability. Isn't it interesting that we are more concerned about disappointing someone else than we are disappointing ourselves? That's literally why people hire coaches. When you hire a coach, I can't tell you how many of our clients will come into a session and say, I just did the thing I said I was going to do last week because I know that I was meeting with you this morning and I didn't want to tell you I didn't do it. Right. If it was just them, they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
We give up on ourselves. And so I think accountability is huge. So whether that means you have an accountability partner, you invest in a coach, I'll tell you what, when I wrote my book, I was procrastinating on that thing for years. Like, I just wasn't doing it because writing a book is hard. It just is. There's a lot of work involved in it. It's a lot of messy middle.
Perfectionism, Kate. I'm feeling it. Perfectionism. Oh,
listen, I laughed with Matthew because I was like, you know who needs to read my book again? Me. Because this perfectionism thing, with the projects that I was working on.
So interesting. Yes.
But that's why you hire. I mean, when I actually hired a writing coach, I was like, not only do I want to be held accountable, but I want to be a better writer. And so I hired a writing coach to help me work through it. And I was able to write the book much faster and with a lot more clarity and a much better book because I had the support. So I think that, your listeners are growth minded and they probably invest in things for personal growth. But having a coach is such a game changer. I've seen it not only in my own life, but in all of our clients' lives, just the impact that a dream manager has or an executive coach has, to have that person that is there to really listen to your challenges, to ask really great questions, and they have no agenda. Most people in your life, your spouse, your friends, your family, they have an agenda for you and your life. Your coach, literally their only agenda is to help you become the best version of yourself.
Yeah. If when I talk about, if there's goals or rocks, by the way, I was going to say that, but systems drive behaviors. Like systems are greater than goals. Atomic Habits talks like, how can you develop systems in your life that ensure that you are being disciplined and doing the things like, I'm going to write every day. Like, what's your process where you ensure that you do that? But if I say there's one system, one goal, one thing you should do, one habit you should create, it's find either that accountability partner or that accountability group. Like if there's one goal for the next month is find and we don't need to overthink who this is. Someone that's growth minded, or a group of 4 or 5 people that are growth minded that meet for 30 minutes every single week and have a system that they follow will completely change your life. And we're working on this. So by the time this episode comes out, the www.thepurposematrix.com will kind of walk you through the process of not only how to build the process, but also a system of accountability. But before you do it, read The Dream Manager, check out Kate's book as well, and help you, because honestly, there's so much connection to this stuff, right? There's so many ties to this. So, Kate, this has been absolutely fantastic. If you step back, well, before we step back, I'm going to ask you to step back a little bit. I just want to, generally speaking, like as you think about your goals, what you're trying to achieve, how do you define success or for fulfillment? Like, how do you think about that?
Well, I believe that we are here to become the best version of ourselves. And so that, going back to, there's things that we can control and there's things that we can't control. And so for me, it is around, every day, am I doing the things that are helping me become a better version of myself? And you know what? Some days are harder than others, right? Like we all know when you're going to do something and you're like, if you asked yourself the question before you did anything, is this going to help me become a better version of myself or a lesser version of myself? And I think that if we come through that lens, then we are going to find what's meant for us. We're going to do the work that we're meant to do. We're going to continue to meet the people that we need to meet, that are growth minded, that are going to be supportive and help us. But, I really just want to create good work, make an impact in the world, and become the best version of myself. Like that is what I want to do. And I believe that if I'm the best version of myself, that means that I am living my purpose through all those different categories, the spiritual, mental, physical, intellectual, all of those different areas. And so I want to be of service and help people and create meaningful work that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know what source from Matthew Kelly, because I have all these different sources of Matthew Kelly information coming in, but he says we need to focus on being more versus doing more or having more, right? If we just focus on being more. And by the way, if you go back to like your perfectionism comment or the other myths, if we're focused on becoming more, we're not going to overthink it being perfect. We're going to take action, because through that process and the failures and the lessons we learn, we're going to become better because of it. We're going to become a better version of ourselves. So I love that. Kate, if you step back and reflect, think about what you do, the impact you've had on so many different organizations, so many different people, right? This isn't like you're helping businesses, but you're more importantly, businesses are your vehicle to having a great impact on people's lives and what's most important to them, from the janitor, like the book talks about, to the CEO and everywhere in between. Step back and reflect. How does what you do? How does it make you feel?
I am I am so filled with gratitude in the work that I get to do that there are no words to describe how grateful I am to be able to not only lead this organization, but to be part of Matthew's world and what he's doing, you know, the impact that he's had on millions and millions of people. I mean, he has spoken around the world, impacted millions of people. He's written over 40 books, sold over 70 million copies of his books, and continues to do this work. And so to be able to be part of this organization that is making such a huge impact in the world is just every day. I just feel so blessed and grateful and extraordinarily fulfilled.
Amazing. If you heard this only and didn't see this, and you couldn't hear the emotion from both of us as I'm sitting there watching and my eyes are getting red, watch it on YouTube and you'll be able to tell, okay, I think that's what we're after, right? Is like, just you're living in such alignment with who you are. And because of that, you're so grateful. And you're also recognizing where this is all coming from. So I appreciate it so much. Kate, you're doing awesome work, but I want you to impact more people. How can people find out more about you and what you're doing?
Yeah. So I, of course, would love to connect with anyone that wants to reach out to me directly. KateVolman.com is the easiest way directly. And then if you are interested at all in the Dream Manager and supporting your people, helping more people dream, thedreammanager.com is the place to go. But like Phil said, check out the book. It is life-changing. You can read it in a weekend and it will change yourself, your business, your family, how you view life. I mean, if there's one thing I can leave you with is to, even if you don't read the book, the next time you sit and have dinner with your friends, family, whoever, even a stranger that you're waiting in line at the grocery store, ask them, hey, what's your dream? Just ask them that question and watch their eyes light up, and it's going to spark a conversation. And that's going to be a moment that you created with someone that they will never forget.
Kate, this has been absolutely amazing. I'm going to I always do this, and then like my team's that hard at work and I go spit in their face and I'm so excited and all this stuff. And they got to bring, but this has been so much fun. I appreciate it so much, Kate. For the Purpose Matrix, signing off.